And then finally, the ISTEM open house. It seems so long since that event, but it was not on the last update. So again, a huge success, over 1,100 attendees, and one of our most viewed live streams from the Halton District School Board that evening, and it is still posted for people that were not able to attend. The best part about the open house is last year, you may recall, we had a panel of people from post-secondary that were able to talk to the program development. This year we had kids that are in the program and staff that are working with the program, and they brought a lot of energy, and we actually had some nice spaces to share as well. Students attended McMaster University to follow up on some of the work they had done in the fall. And in the next couple of weeks in February, they are off to Mohawk College for a hack student event all day. So they'll be working on some cybersecurity challenges and exciting events like that. And the applications. So one is a map and one is a table. As you can see, last year is the distribution of students that are actually attending in the first year of the program. And you'll see that we've got basically our entire board up there. This year, we had probably close to twice as many applicants as last year, and the data is up there. You'll see that there's a large number in the west, but if you look at the dots, there are, in the north area, there are 4 or 5 dots. There are a couple of schools there. I can't really see it from here. Last year, there are 24 this year. So obviously the word of mouth is spreading around the program. People are figuring out ways to get there and working together to get to the program. East, again, a large number of students that have applied. And which is exciting to us is that we have 22 applications of students that are not currently in the Halton District School Board, many of them coming from private school and putting faith into returning to the public system. So that's exciting. And that concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to take some questions. I guess
Director Miller.
Thank you, Chair Gerbens and Superintendent Blackwell. I want to note that obviously the ISTEM program has been extremely successful and continues to be successful. And when you speak to when you visit the school and you speak to the students currently in there, they absolutely love it. So does the staff. And I believe, I haven't spoken to any parents, but I was there at that open house on November 12th, and it was just, I don't think I heard a negative word. It was all positive. But we're kind of the victim of our own success in that we're starting to draw students from we did draw some. We've drawn 37 from the east, and we've drawn 24 from the north, primarily Milton. So as a board, I think we're kind of at a decision point around what we do with this. I think those numbers would grow in other areas. We have an opportunity before us in that we have started construction on a new secondary school in Milton to be open for September 2021. The boundary for that school, the boundary process involving the Parents Boundary Review Committee, will be commencing shortly, a couple of weeks. Yeah, January 30th. And I know Trustee Jarrett's and Trustee Daniele will be involved with that, and it'll be chaired by Associate Director Bogue and co-chaired by Trustee Oliver. We will likely be bringing a report to the board at the next board meeting around what we believe will be significant for that school, and that's likely an ISTEM. It will be an information report because it's obviously operational, but to begin an ISTEM program at the new Milton Secondary School as commencing when it opens. We felt it was important that we bring it here, and if we finalize, it's not carved in stone yet, but when it comes to the board, you will see whether it is or it isn't. Before the boundary review process begins. I think the parents that will, because it's going to be a rather large boundary review process, and those parents that are on it, I think it's fair and transparent for and to them that they know what our plans are. So I'll leave with that. Associate Director Bogue or Superintendent Blackwell or Hunt Gibbons, do you have anything to add or no? I know I went off on a tangent a little bit, but I just saw an opportunity to see that when we're talking about ISTEM. And thank you.
Trustee Shuttleworth.
All right, thank you. Two questions. First of all, you have 126 applicants, which is double what you had last year. Is there a cap on the number of people you accept?
So actually, the 126 is not double. The total is double. So we have 113 students that are in the program this year, and we have over 200 applications.
Okay.
Okay. So there is not a cap this year. We will probably have double the cohort size that we had as last year. That being said, there will be students who do not meet the criteria for the ISTEM program, as there would be students in IB who may not meet the criteria. They may not have answered a question, or the alignment of the application didn't suit the program.
Okay, and my second question, which kind of comes from that. So the 22 non-Halton students, is that a revenue? Do we get revenue from that?
They would be our students. They would register with our board, and we would get, so they may live in Halton, but they are not attending a Halton school. Right? So they could live in Burlington, and they might be attending a private school. So
Okay,
they
so
would then be our public student, and they would be funded.
So then if there are any of the non-Halton students from outside the Halton region?
Yes, and yes. Correct. Yes, and yes. They would be funded.
Soon as they attend our schools, we get the funding for them, regardless of where they live. Because our funding is based on the numbers of students I have. We have.
That kind of yes.
Yeah. Not that I'm egocentric or anything. No, I'm way off on. Yeah, so that's our funding is we, Superintendent Nagoya and Executive Officer McFadden report to the ministry on who our students are and the numbers. We get money for them. So there's no one in this board that we would not be getting a GSN for.
Okay. I think that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Al Harrison.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, it's really exciting, all of the work that's going on for the transitions and incorporating student voice and so on. That's fantastic. And just to Director Miller's point about, the success of the ISTEM and the opportunity for diffusing that model to alternate sites in the board, with the new opportunity in Milton. And I just want to say that I think there's also opportunity in the Oakville area with the new school that is planned, and or some of the other schools that may have space. And yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for our students of the future. I understand we only have capacity to do so much at a time, but it may almost be time to start looking ahead and putting together some kind of longer-term plans such that we can attract even more students to have this wonderful opportunity.
Director Miller.
Through you, Chair Devance, to Vice Chair Al Harrison, you make an excellent point, and I think it is, we do have long-term planning in terms of this, but around program, we have not done so much of that. But it is time that we did sit down. But you raised a very good point. One of the things I said about Milton is it provides an opportunity because we're building a new school. So I'm going to look to Superintendent Puccetti to just comment on the ease with which it is to put these into a new school as opposed to retrofit a school. And we will have that opportunity in Oakville coming up sometime soon, I imagine. But
thank you. Through you, Director Miller. I think with a new school, the transition or the adoption of sort of ISTEM thinking is already there in terms of how the space in, for example, the new Southwest Milton School is designed with a lot of collaborative spaces and opportunities for breakout and self-directed teaching environments for the kids. So I think that's very, very well suited. And for the new Northeast Oakville High School, keep your fingers crossed, we'll hear about that very soon. That, you know, it's going to, we're going to be designing that school, and we can adopt a lot of those principles in there as long as we respect the ministry space template requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's lots of opportunity for that.
Go right ahead.
Right, and just briefly, I think that's all great, and that is part of, I think, our collective future, and hopefully some of that will come up through our multi-year planning process. And as we look again to the future, you know, there are other discussions to have about whether ISTEM becomes ISTEAM, for example, and so much more. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
Trustee Reynolds.
Thank you. So first of all, I thank you to you and your staff for making good on a commitment on creating a program that parents and the community asked for. I'm delighted to see, it's really gratifying to see that there is growth and interest, and parents and students are choosing this program. I am also aware, we had a report that came to our board in September that spoke to the impact that an increase in ISTEM students had on optional programs at the school, specifically French Immersion. And we learned in September that there was a much smaller group of students choosing French Immersion. And I'm wondering if there is an opportunity tonight, and I asked the director if you could just share about how this program is continually being monitored. I'm talking about French Immersion, and whether there is potentially any impact from this activity. And I ask this because I know parents who contacted me in September when that first report came out. They were concerned. They're French Immersion parents, and they were concerned whether French Immersion could be cannibalized from ISTEM, meaning their students would select French Immersion. So I'm sure there are parents who are still wondering what will happen if it's a small cohort.
Through you, Chair Durbens, to Trustee Reynolds. A little bit of historical background, as the trustees from the previous group are all aware of. We have French Immersion in Burlington Central, and we have French Immersion in Aldershot. Both of them had relatively small programs. We tend to want about 2 classes of French Immersion per grade so that it's sustainable. We had neither in Burlington Central nor Aldershot prior to the PAR. We had a single class in both of those, and both of them were relatively small classes as well. During the PAR process, one of the implications of the PAR was we said to the trustees that we would monitor the French Immersion programs at both schools, and we would come back to the board with some reports. If you'll recall, in the LTAP, this topic came up very briefly in the LTAP, both last year and the previous year. I mean, we haven't had the LTAP this year, where we talked about the small classes of Aldershot and Burlington Central. Currently, there are 9 students in the French Immersion program at Aldershot. And next year, we have, we believe, 7. So as trustees can see, those are pretty significantly low numbers. In particular, in light of the changes to possible class sizes that are being from the government, Ministry of Education, around the increase in class sizes, it's extremely difficult to run classes that small. And French Immersion is difficult to run combined classes of, but even if we were to run, say we had the 7 next year and the 9 from this year, and we ran a combined class of 9, 10 French Immersion, we still only have 16 students in there. So it is our intent that we will be bringing a report to the board at the next board meeting around conducting a boundary review using Pathway 2 for that French immersion program. And it's important that we do a boundary review because it is a program, and programs changed, and we're required to do that if a program changes. It would not be a long boundary review, and it's basically basically going to be a simple question that's answered. I will turn it over to Superintendent Blackwell and/or Superintendent Trufant to add any comments.
I would just like to add that it's a secondary French immersion boundary review at this point to look at the FI numbers there.
Last thing I would say is it's important that we do this and inform the community, particularly the parents of those 7 students, because they're selecting their courses for next year now. And, you know, we did say we'd monitor it. We have been monitoring it. And until we could get the numbers for this year, we couldn't really figure out what we were going to do. But now that we have them. And I would say it is your word about cannibalization. I don't know if I'd characterize it like that, but it certainly is as a result of ISTEM. I think many, many students are choosing to go into ISTEM as opposed to the French immersion program. So we need to act fairly quickly on this to be fair to those 7 students and grade 7s and 8s as well, but at least they've got another year, and then, or sorry, grade 6s and 7s, so that they know where they're going when they get into grade 8 next year or grade 7. So, okay.
You have a follow-up?
So I just wanted to reaffirm that there is a commitment to speak to those existing students who are looking at making decisions for next year. I would think that the parents would want to know, especially if they're finding out their peers are choosing ISTEM, they would, I think, they may not know if they haven't been talking. So I really appreciate, I'm sure they would really appreciate knowing that they could get, that someone could reach out to them and let them know, and to see if there's any accommodation that for them in terms of if they choose to leave French immersion, or if there's no French immersion, what other accommodations might we be considering for them?
It's an excellent point, and probably starting tomorrow, the principal of Aldershot will be phoning the parents of those students to give them a heads up, because ultimately, whether we conduct a boundary review is the purview of the trustees. It has to be, we would recommend it, but you have to approve it. So we cannot say definitely, but we want to give them a heads up because it's still 2 weeks away before the next board meeting. So the principal will be contacting those families in the next couple of days to let them know to pay attention, because this might happen. Of course, the students will have the option to go to Burlington Central. And it has the added benefit of increasing the viability of the Burlington Central French immersion program. We always knew that there was going to be a challenge with 2 of them running in a not a very densely populated area and selections, but you know, we made a commitment to try it. We've tried it, and you know, we have to make a decision now.
Trustee Gray.
Thank you very much through the chair and to the director. I very much appreciate your comments tonight that we're sort of a victim of our own success, and that this program has just taken off and it's grown in a way with interest that I don't think is adequately or appropriate, not appropriately, but maybe shown on the data that we have here. If there was, I think that there'd be so much interest in the north, and I'm so pleased to hear that there might be a chance to have at least this program get as far up as Milton. I think the 24 that you see in the north could be probably 3 or 4 times that time it comes up. And with the Vision Georgetown project underway within the next 5 to 10 years, with the added schools being involved there, it just bodes well for the future of this. But I think it speaks to the shift in the interest of our students as we talk about French immersion and the change there, and going into the ISTEM perhaps in the future. I think it just is our board responding to the learning needs of our current students. And I applaud the efforts of everyone involved in the program and the growth and the growing of that program over this year and in the future. Thank you.
Vice Chair Harrison.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, this kind of builds on Trustee Gray's comments. I forgot to ask this last time, and with the new cohort of applicants to ISTEM, is there still, how diverse is the group? I'm thinking of, are we still an accessible program to students of all learning styles and needs? Like, I don't know if you can answer that. I see we have some geographic diversity, which is great, but I think back to the origins, and part of that was creating an accessible and open and diverse community.
Through the chair to Trustee L. Harrison, I don't have the specifics on this year's applications. They've just come in the Friday before the winter break. But the program last year, we did have applicants select either applied or academic pathway. We did not have enough students to run an applied pathway section. That being said, we encourage those students to stay in the program and engage in the learning, and they are. So it's a 4-credit package in grade 9 that consists of science, math, design tech, or tech design, sorry, and geography. The other courses they have the opportunity to take at multiple levels that are their electives. We're seeing great success with that, and kids are seeing success in themselves as well, so they're working together on that. This year, the program is not being offered at level. It will be offered at the same academic level, but that is not a requirement in terms of, the marks are not a requirement in getting into the program. It's the type of learner and the ability to work in groups and some of their learning skills that make them ready to learn that way. And some of the kids are really outshining what they may have done in a stream classroom.
Okay, there's no other speakers on the speakers list, but I have questions. So I have been lucky enough to going to MM Robinson, or back to the topic of MM Robinson. I've been lucky enough to go see the cafeteria. It does look gorgeous, and I'm very excited about the hospitality kitchen going in as well. I am wondering sort of what's happening with regards to what seems to be the missing windows at the front of MM, and I was wondering about timelines for that.
Thank you, through you, Chair Gerbens. Yes, there has been a little bit of a delay in the delivery of windows. We're actually experiencing that at a few other sites. I think the recent update is that they should be coming in the next week or so, but I can provide you with a little bit of further update if I check back with staff.
Okay, thank you. And with regards to the ISTEM, seeing 24 people willing to make the trek down where there's basically no transportation that we provide, but not even, at least from Oakville, there's a GO line. There is nothing going from the north to Aldershot, and 24 people are able to believe that they can make that work. And so I think that opening up a program up there, it'll be full immediately, because if there's that many people willing to make that trek now without any support, I'm sure that there's 100 more people that are willing to do it if it's right in their neighborhood or close by. So yeah, I think that's a great idea.